Babe of the day. Babe of the day. Jungle Pam Hardy. One of the most famous women in racing who never raced a car. Jungle Pam was something else. Although she was only active in the racing world for 5 years, she left a legacy that is still talked about to this day. I was born in 1980. Jungle Pam's career in racing was from 1972 to 77. But if you had a dad, like I did, you probably saw a lot of old car magazines lying around. If you didn't hear your dad talking about Jungle Pam, you for sure saw her in the magazines. She was just as well known in the 1980s and 90s as she ever was in the 70s. You just can't forget someone like her. First of all, drag racing is cool. It's my favorite type of motorsport. Anyone who associates with drag racing is cool in the first place. Jungle Pam was connected to one of the most famous drag racers of all time, Jungle Jim Liberman. Jungle Jim was into funny car drag racing, and he was famous for his showmanship. He did all kinds of crazy stunts on the track. As a matter of fact, he carried this showmanship into other aspects of his life. Jungle Jim began drag racing in 1964, although he was in the stock division at that time. In 1965, he switched to funny cars. In 1967, Jim went on a tour that made him famous in the world of drag racing. You never knew what you were going to see when you saw Jungle Jim. He was just as wild as his namesake. Jim was popular, but nothing like he became in 1972 when he brought out Jungle Pam. Jim was going through a divorce at the time he met Pam Hardy. She was 18 and just 2 weeks away from graduating high school. He was 26. Pam's life was redirected in a big way. She had been accepted to Westchester State and was going to major in business. Pam was very, very smart. She dropped the idea of college and joined Jungle Jim on the road, driving her mom nuts. Surely she wasn't going anywhere as a race car side woman, right? Well, let's just say Jungle Pam had certain gifts that went beyond intellect. She may have been 18 when Jim first showed her off to the world, but she could have passed for mid-20s. Pam was extremely well endowed and was always braless. She wore tank tops or halters, along with hot pants or the shortest of jean shorts. It's important to point out that she was wearing Daisy Dukes long before the character of Daisy Duke was even created. Jim initially hired Pam to stage his car. This requires a lot of moving around, bouncing, bending over, and everything guys like to see. She also checked under the vehicle for fluid leaks before a run, filled the block with water and oil, and helped reposition his car on the line after burnouts. After each run, she would repack his parachutes. This is actually not an easy thing to do, and requires some ability. But where does the jungle part of her name come from? Jungle Jim, himself, based his nickname on the popular comic strip, movie, and TV series featuring a jungle adventurer known as Jungle Jim. Although everything with the Jungle Jim franchise was over by 1956, it was still a well-known character thanks to comic strip reprints and TV channels that like to show old movies. People would get the nickname and think it was amusing. Since Pam was with Jim, she became Jungle Pam by extension. Once she became part of his act, you never saw them apart, and she consequently became his sidekick. They appeared in all kinds of car magazines, including Hot Rod. I think an opportunity was missed when Jim and Pam didn't play up to the jungle theme more. How cool would it have been if they did a photo shoot with Jim dressed as a jungle explorer and Pam as a jungle girl like Sheena? I'm actually surprised this didn't happen, given the fact that Jim was so showy. Did he really just not think of it? The High Times ended on September 9th, 1977. Jungle Jim died in a car accident and not on the racetrack. Jungle Pam never worked for another driver, but she still remained a part of the drag racing world. Pam married a funny car owner by the name of Fred Fry. They would later divorce, and she went on to marry Bill Hodgson, who tuned George Wiedenauer's funny car. Pam is still an ambassador of goodwill for Jungle Jim Lieberman. She still celebrates Jim and helps keep his memory alive. This is pretty cool on her part, because she doesn't have to do it. She still likes what she and Jim did. Who doesn't? It was something special that brought more fans into the sport than ever before. If Pam had majored in business, would she have been a success? I have no doubts. We know she's smart, but she even seems smart in interviews. I think she made a good move when she joined Jungle Jim, and she always has something to fall back on. People still want to see her and talk to her. Plus, I think she enjoys the funny car world more than she ever would have enjoyed being a corporate executive. Jungle Pam was something cool for drag racing that people liked back then, and still do. She was fun, and it made racing more fun. Plus, she was of actual use to Jungle Jim and not just eye candy. Pam proved that women could be an active part of that world even if they didn't race a car. Jungle Pam Hardy really crosses the finish line when it comes to being a Babe of the Day, Babe of the Day.